Guys, how's it going? Welcome back. So I thought I'd do a little video on some of the mods I've been pulling off today on my HSP Ghost. I've got some truck tires on it, and I did that third level suspension mod for having 3 clips in on the back end, so it's a little bit stiffer, and I'm liking the height here. It's really nice going through the grass now. It's not dragging its butt type of thing, because I mean, tire diameter wise, I mean, there's a height difference here. You know, I mean, that's a big height difference by the time you center these things. So a good height difference. Also with the truck tires, I've gained some extra speed out of the machine too, because of a larger footprint tire. It actually allows you to gain more speed out of the machine on the top end. So that's also really good little bonus there. Now, what I did, how I end up pulling all this off, I had a breakdown and I blew my rear differential finally, and I snapped a dog bone up front, and I didn't want to wait 3 weeks to get parts in or anything like that, so I thought, you know what, I'll just go to the source. So I bought myself the Lighthawk Igniter. Okay, and here's actually the body shell from it, and there's the remote. It says Lighthawk Igniter on it. And because I was pretty sure at the first glance I looked at it, I thought they duplicated the HSP Night, and turns out they did. So the only difference between the HSP Night and the HSP Ghost, okay, is going to be your tires and a back bumper and a shell. That's it. Otherwise it's the same. Now, what I did find out too about the Lighthawk stuff is the transmitter for it and the receiver board, okay, are not going to talk to the HSP equipment. Now, even though, yes, it's 2.4 gigahertz band, Lighthawk is using a different set of frequencies within the 2.4 gigahertz, so that it, like this remote here, will not bind with the HSP and vice versa. But anyway, so these end up going to be up for sale, the radio and the receiver board, and there's nothing wrong with them, of course, they're brand new. But I don't have a use for those. They are basically the same setup here, because there's my HSP one. A big difference in the remote. I actually find the Lighthawk remote is actually quite nice. It's a little bit lighter in the hand, I find. Well, actually, they're both the same, but it's not as robust as the HSP one. But you can see even your 2 boards here are exactly the same, right? So, but anyways, excuse me, this also gives me some spare parts. The other thing I found out too is when it came to the suspension, if you start looking at HSP suspension and the Igniter suspension, of course they're exactly the same, right? What I really wanted to know was what the big difference was between front shocks and rear shocks, and the only difference is about 1/8 of an inch in length. Your front shocks are actually the longer ones, and your rear ones are like almost 1/8 of an inch. It's not quite a full 1/8 of an inch shorter than the fronts. Now, I also tried putting the front shocks onto the rear. They do go, and it's not a big deal. So really, you don't have to buy separate front, separate rear, unless you want to, okay? So it's kind of your choice on that one. But every single piece, okay, even the carriage, all right, it's exactly all HSP equipment, all of it. Just the difference with the remote and the receiver. They look different, of course, than the HSP for the radio. The receivers look exactly the same. They mount exactly the same. But the frequency range on this box is going to be different than this one. So the Lighthawk stuff has to stay with the Lighthawk, and HSP with the HSP, which, hey, no big deal. The motors are also exactly the same. Same teeth too on the gear. Alright, that's all going to be the same. Drive shaft, okay, actually goes this way. Your drive shaft, main gear, exact same thing. So, it's nice having a lot of the spare parts. It also was a good fun opportunity to totally tear down the Lighthawk because it is the same. Now I know exactly how everything comes apart, everything goes back together. I also know there is actually a difference with your sway bars up top here, or whatever you want to call them, links. Okay, these two up top are actually a different length than these two up top. Okay, so there is a little bit of a difference there from what I found out. You know, I mean, that's just on even the same buggy. You know, I took one of these off, compared it. The back ones are actually a little bit longer than the fronts. It's just the way they've done things, so whatever. So anyways, and of course, the differentials from the Lighthawk are exactly the same as the HSP Ghost, which is nice. The other nice thing too is I was looking up hop-up parts, and HeliPal has some nice aluminum hop-up parts for this, like your battery tray or drive shaft tray cover, radio tray they call it. They got that in alloy, steering system in alloy. Now what Lighthawk has in alloy is going to be your suspension frames. They're going to have that, and they have metal dog bones. Okay, so you gotta kind of shop around for your mod parts between HeliPal and Lighthawk, and you can do this thing up quite nicely. You know, because there's stuff that one has that the other doesn't, right? So the hop-ups are nice, so I'm definitely going to be converting over to metal dog bones eventually, and the alloy shock supports. I'm going to get those done in alloy and whatever else I can find in the steering system. So eventually this thing's going to be totally done up. But I think I'm going to leave my monster truck tires on for the most part, especially when I go to the track, because I want lots of traction on this thing. But I also, like I said, I like the height for the ground clearance. I'm not going to bottom this cage out at all, you know, and I'm not racing, so I don't really need these tires. These tires, like I said, they're good for the roadway, the small ones, and they're pretty good in light sand, you know, but it needs to be like a harder type pack sand, whereas these are going to be good for going through all kinds of crap, so really good that way. Also, if you're looking at a bigger capacity battery, I've been looking around myself, and anything HSP wise, I've only found at the 1100s, which are the stock batteries. Lighthawk actually has a 1500 as well, so you know, it's kind of, if you want an extra few hundred milliamps, you get a lot more runtime, right? So, and price wasn't too bad either. I think it was like 25 bucks for the 1500 milliamp battery. So you know, I'm definitely going to end up picking up more batteries even for my own machine, you know, and, you know, I'll get stock ones from my own supplier, but I'm going to try a 1500 milliamp one out too from Lighthawk and see how well it actually does, because my supplier doesn't have the 1500s. But it's nice also having the real bumpers front and back, because originally you only get the front one on the Ghost, and you get this little plastic piece of, actually, I'm sure you guys know what it looks like, but I'll grab it out anyhow. But you only get this little thing, which is kind of pathetic, and it's really not even a bumper. So I like having the bumper on here, because now I also get some good protection back there too against my shell area. So if I do happen to, you know, flip up, it's not going to tend to crack into the back of my shell. So that'll be a big bonus there. Saw a little bit of modding here and there. It's a lot of fun, love it. But thought I'd show you the mods I've done, and I'll probably do a video sometime in the next few days showing you how this thing bounces around and runs on the road and all that with this setup on it. And in the meantime, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.